The door creaked open like a gunshot in the dead of night, shattering the fragile peace of my sleep. Lincoln's silhouette filled the frame, backlit by the hallway lamp, his broad shoulders heaving as if he'd run from hell itself. "Lucas," he whispered, voice cracking like thunder. "I can't do this anymore. I think I'm breaking." I bolted upright in bed, heart slamming against my ribs, the sheets tangling around my legs like chains. We'd been roommates for 3 years in this cramped 2-bedroom in Wicker Park, Chicago, the kind of place where the L train rattles your dreams and the wind off Lake Michigan bites through the walls. Lincoln Hayes, my straight-as-an-arrow best friend since freshman year at DePaul, the guy who dragged me to White Sox games and nursed me through every heartbreak with cheap whiskey and bad jokes. He wasn't supposed to be here, not like this, not at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, his eyes wild and red-rimmed, reeking of bourbon and regret. "What the hell, Link?" I stammered, flicking on the bedside lamp. The light caught the stubble shadowing his jaw, the way his flannel shirt hung open over a white tee stained with what looked like spilled coffee. He collapsed onto the edge of my mattress, head in his hands, and for a split second, I thought he was going to puke. Instead, he let out a sob, deep, guttural, the kind that echoes from a place you don't come back from unchanged. "It's Sarah," he choked out. Sarah, his fiancée of 2 years, the golden girl from the North Shore with her trust fund and her perfect Pinterest wedding board. They'd been fighting for months, whispers about cold feet, about Lincoln's endless shifts at the firehouse leaving her lonely. But this was apocalypse level. She left, packed her shit and gone. Said I was holding her back. Like I'm some kind of anchor dragging her down. I scooted closer, instincts kicking in before my brain could catch up. Friendship first, always, that was our code. I placed a hand on his back, feeling the tremor ripple through him like an aftershock. "Hey man, breathe. She's an idiot if she can't see what she's losing. You're the best damn guy I know." Lies, half-truths. Sarah had always grated on me, her polished edges too sharp against Lincoln's rough warmth. But more than that, it was the secret gnawing at my gut, the one I'd buried under bro hugs and late-night Xbox sessions. I loved him. Not the easy, platonic way. The kind that twists your insides and makes every casual touch feel like fire. He lifted his head, those hazel eyes locking onto mine, searching for something I wasn't sure I could give. "You get it, right? That fear? Like you're about to lose everything you've built." His voice dropped, intimate in the lamplight, and I nodded, throat tight. Yeah, I got it. Every time he brought Sarah around, laughing at her inside jokes, I'd swallow the ache, remind myself straight guys like Link didn't look at guys like me that way. We were Lincoln and Lucas, firefighter and graphic designer, the odd couple who'd bonded over bad tattoos and worse exes. He was the straight one, the rock. I was the queer kid from the suburbs who'd come out in college and lost half my family to awkward silences. That night blurred into a haze of confessions. He talked for hours, sprawled across my bed while I fetched water and Advil, the city humming outside our window like a distant lullaby. Sarah had found texts, not his but mine. Old messages to a hookup, nothing scandalous, but enough to make her paranoid, to spin tales of infidelity that weren't even aimed at her. "She thinks I'm hiding something," he muttered, staring at the ceiling fan. "Like I'm not man enough to just say it." Irony burned in my chest. If only she knew the half of what I was hiding. By dawn, he was asleep, curled toward me like a question mark, one arm flung across the pillows. I watched him, the rise and fall of his chest, the faint scar above his eyebrow from that dumb skateboarding wipeout in high school. We'd met at a freshman mixer, both outsiders, me with my sketchbook and rainbow pin, him with his Letterman jacket and easy grin. Over cheap beer, we'd clicked, building a brotherhood that felt unbreakable. But lately, cracks had formed. His engagement had pulled him into a world of brunches and country clubs, leaving me on the sidelines, nursing crushes I drowned in freelance gigs and dive bars on Halsted. I slipped out of bed, padding to the kitchen to brew coffee. The apartment smelled like yesterday's takeout, Giordano's deep dish, our ritual after long days. As the pot gurgled, my phone buzzed. A text from my sister, Mia, back in Naperville. "Heard about Sarah. You okay? Link needs you." She knew, of course, about my feelings, the ones I'd confessed in a tipsy voicemail last Christmas. "Be straight, loose," she'd warned. "Don't torch the bridge." But bridges burn anyway, don't they? In the gray light filtering through the blinds, I wondered if this was the spark. Lincoln woke with a groan, sunlight spearing his eyes. Shit, what time is it? He sat up, rubbing his temples, and for a moment, everything felt normal. Two guys shaking off a bender. But then his gaze snagged on the nightstand, on the framed photo of us at last summer's Pride Parade. I dragged him along as my straight ally. And there we were, arms slung around each other, rainbow flags whipping in the wind. His smile in the picture was genuine, but now his expression shuddered. You ever think about it? He asked suddenly, voice low. What if? What if I wasn't? My heart stuttered. Was this the bourbon talking or something deeper? I forced a laugh, casual as ever. Think about what? You in glitter and heels? Nah, you'd rock it though. He didn't laugh. Instead, he stood, pacing the room, his bare feet silent on the hardwood. No, man. The way things are. Easy. But what if they're not? The air thickened, charged like the moments before a storm rolls in off the lake. I wanted to say it then. I love you, you idiot, have for years, but the words lodged like shrapnel. Instead, I clapped his shoulder, steering him toward the kitchen. One crisis at a time, Link. Eggs? Bacon? Let's not Freud this shit over Folgers. We spent the day like that, holed up in domestic limbo. He called in sick to the firehouse, I canceled a client meeting, and we binge-watched The Bear on the couch, passing a bag of old style like it was therapy. But under the banter, tension simmered. His knee brushed mine during a tense kitchen scene, and he didn't pull away. When he dozed off mid-episode, head lolling against my shoulder, I froze, breathing shallow, afraid to shatter the illusion. That evening, as neon signs flickered to life outside, he finally cracked open the door he'd slammed shut at dawn. We were on the fire escape, cigarettes glowing like fireflies. His habit, not mine, but I'd join him for the view. The city sprawled below, a glittering beast indifferent to our small dramas. Lucas, he said, exhaling smoke toward the stars. Sarah leaving. It made me see shit clear. Like, what do I even want? A ring? A house in the burbs? Or, he trailed off, flicking ash over the railing. Or what? I pressed, pulse thundering. The vulnerability in his eyes was a knife's edge, sharp, dangerous. He turned to me, close enough I could smell the tobacco on his breath, the faint cedar of his cologne. Or this, you and me, the real stuff. His hand found mine on the metal grate, fingers intertwining, tentative, electric. Time fractured. The L train roared past, but I heard nothing but my own blood rushing. Was this happening? My straight best friend, the one who'd high-fived me through every grinder disaster, holding my hand like it was the lifeline he'd been missing? We didn't kiss, not then. It wasn't that kind of movie. But as we sat there, palms pressed together against the chill, something shifted. The night that started with a door creaking open had cracked us wide, spilling secrets into the open air. Little did I know, the real storm was just gathering force. The next few weeks unfolded like a fever dream, equal parts bliss and brinkmanship. Lincoln didn't leave after that night. He crashed on my couch, then my bed, boundaries blurring in the haze of his breakup. We'd wake tangled in sheets, laughing it off as bro cuddling. But the air hummed with unspoken what-ifs. Chicago in late fall mirrored our chaos. Crisp winds stripping the trees bare, Lake Michigan churning gray and restless under overcast skies. By day, we fell into a rhythm. I'd sketch logos for craft breweries at my drafting table, stealing glances at him sprawled on the floor with takeout containers, scrolling job listings for something beyond the firehouse grind. Think I could hack it as a paramedic trainer? He'd muse, and I'd nod, heart swelling at the spark in his voice. Evenings were ours. Walks along the 606 trail, where the city's pulse synced with ours, or hole-in-the-wall spots like the Empty Bottle, nursing IPAs while an indie band wailed about lost love. But Lincoln was straight, or so the world insisted. Including him some days. He'd pull back mid-conversation, eyes darting like he'd been caught trespassing. This is weird, right? He'd say after a lingering hug, scrubbing a hand through his hair. I mean you're, gay. The word hung unspoken, a ghost in the room. I'd shrug it off, crack a joke about his questionable taste in flannel. But inside, Doubt festered. Was this exploration or just rebound wreckage? Sarah's shadow loomed. Her friends had started texting him, passive-aggressive check-ins that escalated to please. We can fix this, Link. Come home. One rainy Thursday, the dam broke. I came home soaked from a client pitch in the loop, dropping my bag in the hall to find him on the couch. Phone clutched like a grenade. She wants to talk, he said flatly, not meeting my eyes. Tomorrow. Neutral ground, that coffee shop in Lincoln Square. My stomach plummeted. Neutral ground meant 1 foot out the door, testing the waters without diving in. You going? I asked, peeling off my wet jacket, voice steadier than I felt. He nodded, miserable. Gotta hear her out. Closure, you know? Closure. The word tasted like ash. We ordered Thai from the place on Damon, eating in silence broken only by the patter of rain on the windows. Halfway through pad CEW, he set down his fork, reaching across the coffee table. Lucas, wait. This us, it's not nothing. I feel it too. That pull. His thumb traced my knuckles, sending sparks up my arm. But I'm scared shitless. What if I'm just confused? What if I fuck this up for both of us? I wanted to rage, to demand he choose her safe harbor or our uncharted sea. Instead, I squeezed his hand, channeling every rom-com trope I'd ever devoured. Then we figure it out. Together. No timelines, no labels. Just us. It was the bravest lie I'd told, laced with the truth of my longing. That night, he kissed my forehead, a chaste press that lingered too long, and we slept back to back, the space between us a chasm and a cradle. The coffee shop meeting stretched into eternity. I paced our apartment like a caged wolf, blasting Phoebe Bridgers to drown the what-ifs. By hour 3, my phone lit up. Coming home. Need to talk. My mind spun worst-case scenarios. Him begging her forgiveness, packing his duffel for her Lake Forest condo. When the door finally swung open, he looked wrecked. Collar askew, eyes puffy, but the set of his jaw said survivor, not surrender. She wants the ring back, he announced, tossing his keys on the counter. Said I'm not the man she fell for anymore. That I've changed. He laughed, bitter and broken, sinking onto the stool. I poured him a scotch, neat, the way he liked, and leaned against the fridge, arms crossed to hide the tremor in my hands. And? Are you? His gaze lifted, piercing. Yeah, I am. Because of you. The words landed like a lifeline, yanking me across the kitchen. He stood, closing the distance, and this time the kiss wasn't tentative. It was hungry, desperate. A collision of lips and breaths, and all the months I dreamed of this. His hands framed my face, stubble scraping my skin, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to the taste of coffee and scotch on his tongue. When we broke apart, gasping, he rested his forehead against mine. Ay molin, luce. If you'll have me. We tumbled into it then, a whirlwind romance grafted onto our friendship's sturdy root. Dates felt stolen. Picnics in Humboldt Park with craft beers and my sketchpad, where I draw him laughing, sunlight gilding his hair. Midnight drives to the Adler Planetarium, parking under the stars to talk futures, fears, the ache of coming out in a world that still side-eyed 2 guys holding hands. He met my friends at Big Chicks, enduring good-natured ribbing with that lopsided grin. Took you long enough? My buddy Theo teased, clinking bottles. Lincoln just shrugged, arm around my waist. Worth the wait. But paradise has pitfalls. His family, staunch Catholics from the South Side, started sniffing around. His mom, Eileen, called daily, her voice syrupy with concern. When are you coming to Mass, Mijo? Sarah's been asking after you. He dodged, but guilt etched lines around his eyes. Then came the firehouse crew, his second family, the ones who'd pulled him from a collapsing beam 2 years back. Beers after shifts turned interrogative. Heard you and Sarah called it. Who's the rebound? Link laughed it off, but I saw the flinch. The betrayal brewed slow, a pot left too long on the stove. It started with a text I glimpsed over his shoulder one morning. From Mikey, Firehouse. Dude, saw you with that guy at the bar. What's the deal? You going full rainbow now? Lincoln's face hardened, thumbs flying in reply. I pretended not to notice, but the seed of unease took root. We were out, in whispers, to Mia, to my design circle, But Lincoln's world was a fortress, and I was the intruder at the gate. Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine. He invited me to his folks in Bridgeport, a row house festooned with turkey lights and holy water fonts. "It'll be fine," he assured, packing my bag with his old Bears hoodie. "Just be you. They'll love you." Optimism, thy name is denial. The drive down Lake Shore Drive was golden, fall leaves swirling like confetti. But as we pulled up to the curb, my palms slicked with sweat. Eileen's hug was warm, her potato casserole divine, but the undercurrent was electric. His dad, Big Tom, clapped my back too hard, eyes appraising. "Lucas, huh? Link says you're the artsy type. Draw me like one of your French girls." Chuckles all around, but it landed flat. Dinner devolved into scripture and small talk. Lincoln's knee pressed against mine under the table. A secret anchor. Then Mikey called, FaceTime buzzing mid-pie. Lincoln answered, screen filling with the crew's grinning mugs. "Happy Turkey Day, Hayes. Who's the bird at your table?" The camera panned to me, and the line went pin-drop silent. Link's face drained of color. "Guys, this is Lucas. My roommate. The word sliced deeper than any knife. Later, as we washed dishes, Eileen cornered him in the kitchen. I lingered in the hall, towel-drying plates, catching fragments. "Not natural, Lincoln. Sarah was good for you. It's a phase, right?" His voice rose, strained. "Mom, it's not a crash, a plate shattering." I stepped in, but he waved me off, eyes blazing. We fled early, excuses mumbled about work deadlines. The drive home thick with unspoken fury. In the apartment, he exploded. "They're my family, Luce. You think I can just flip a switch?" I fired back, hurt morphing to heat. "I'm not asking you to disown them. I'm asking you to stand up. For us." He stormed out, door slamming like a verdict. Hours ticked by. I paced, texted Mia for sanity. "Give him space," she advised. "Love's a marathon, not a sprint." But marathons have walls, and we were slamming into one. He returned at midnight, soaked from the drizzle, apology written in the slump of his shoulders.
"I'm sorry."
I panicked. We made up on the couch, kisses turning fervent, hands mapping familiar terrain. But as he whispered "I love you" into my neck, doubt whispered back. How long before panic wins? Winter clamped down on Chicago like a vice, snowplows growling through the night, blanketing our mistakes in white. If November was fever, December was reckoning. Lincoln threw himself into us, surprise tickets to the Joffrey Ballet, where we held hands in the shadows of the auditorium theater. Homemade lax at Hanukkah, my family's tradition he butchered with boyish glee. "Tastes like freedom," he joked, feeding me a bite, and for stolen moments it did. But fractures spiderwebbed. The firehouse whispers turned to outright avoidance. Shifts overlapped with cold shoulders, Mikey ghosting group hangs. Lincoln internalized it, snapping at small things, a forgotten laundry basket, my late night at the studio. "You're always gone," he'd accuse, and I'd bite back. "You're the one building walls." Our fights were oil and water, fiery, then slick with regret, ending in tear-streaked makeups that left us raw. The betrayal hit on New Year's Eve, a gut punch wrapped in tinsel. We'd planned low-key. Countdown at home, champagne and Ocean's 11 reruns. But he got called in for a warehouse blaze downtown, the kind that chews through lives. "Be safe," I murmured into his kiss, watching him lace boots by the door. Hours dragged. I refreshed FD updates obsessively, heart in my throat. At 11:47 p.m., my phone rang. Not him, but Theo. "Luce, turn on the news." The screen showed chaos. Flames licking the sky over Pilsen, reporters shouting over sirens. Then a clip, grainy bodycam from the scene. Lincoln, helmeted and heroic, hauling a trapped worker to safety. Pride swelled, chased by relief as the all-clear came. But Theo's voice trembled. "It's not that." Scroll Twitter.
Fayrouz chat leaked.
My feed exploded. Screenshots from the department's private group, time-stamped mid-blaze. Mikey. Hayes is out here saving asses while his boyfriend sits home painting rainbows. Pathetic. Replies piled on. Emojis of flames, clown faces, slurs that curdled my blood. Fag enabler. Time to transfer his ass. And there, Buried in the thread, Lincoln's handle liking the post. Not commenting but liking. A digital nod. A silent endorsement. The room spun. I called him voicemail after voicemail, each more fractured. What the fuck, Link? By 2 a.m., the door opened, soot-streaked and sheepish. You see it? I demanded, shoving my phone at him. His face crumpled as he scrolled, the weight of it crashing down. Loose, I didn't, it was muscle memory swiping while waiting for Deccan. I unliked it. But you saw it first. The words hung, venomous. Betrayal wasn't the like. It was the hesitation, the fracture line between us and them. He reached for me, but I recoiled. You're ashamed. Say it. Tears tracked through the grime on his cheeks. Terrified, not of you, of losing everything. The job, my dad, the life I knew. He sank to his knees, voice breaking. But I'd lose it all before I lose you. Please. I wanted to believe him, to bridge the chasm with forgiveness. Instead, I fled to the bedroom, locking the door on his pleas. Sleep evaded. I lay staring at the ceiling, replaying our reel. The fire escape handhold, the ballet whispers, the way he'd murmur mine in the dark. Love wasn't a straight line. It was this jagged and real, demanding you choose. Dawn broke slate gray. He was gone when I emerged. A note on the counter. At the station. Captain called a meeting. I love you. Fight for this? I crumpled it, then smoothed it out, resolve hardening. No more sidelines. I dressed, grabbed my keys, and drove to Engine 14, the brick behemoth where he'd forged his steel. The lot was quiet, holiday overtime thinning the ranks. Inside, voices echoed from the rec room, gruff, laced with tension. I hovered at the door, unseen, catching Mikey's drawl. Haze man, that like? Bad optics. Departments cracking down on. Distractions. Lincoln's reply, steady as rebar. Distractions? That's my partner you're shitting on. Lucas is the reason I pull doubles. The guy who keeps me sane when this job tries to break me. Silence, then Big Tom's voice. From a consult? No, he'd driven in, face thunderous. Son, this ain't the place. Family's one thing, but here, you're compromising. The air crackled. Lincoln's laugh was hollow. Compromising? Dad, you taught me to run into fires, not away from truth. Lucas isn't a phase, he's home. Footsteps. Then he burst into the hall, spotting me. Shock, then a fierce grin. You came. I nodded, throat tight. Always. The confrontation spilled out. Me stepping in, words tumbling. I'm not here to fight your battles, Link, but if you're in, I'm all in. No half measures. Mikey sneered, but Lincoln squared up, badge glinting. He's right, and if that's a problem, write me up. But know this, the man I love just walked through that door for me. Can any of you say the same? Chaos erupted, yells, chairs scraping. But in the melee, something solidified. Big Tom pulled Lincoln aside, words low and gruff. Your ma and I, we prayed on it. If he makes you happy, son. Not acceptance, not yet, but a crack in the armor. Mikey stormed out, mutters trailing, but the captain clapped Lincoln's shoulder. Sort your crew, Hayes, but personal life's off limits here. We drove home through flurries, the city a snow globe shake. In the parking garage, under the hum of fluorescence, he pulled me close. I almost lost you. Kissed him, slow and sure. You didn't. But next time we face it together. From the jump. Spring thawed us gradual. Lincoln transferred crews, landing with a more open squad in Logan Square. His family dinners turned tentative truces. Eileen's casseroles now came with questions, not judgments. Mia threw us a unengagement party at her Naperville rancher, complete with drag bingo and zero judgment. And us? We built deliberate, couples counseling at a queer center on Broadway, where we unpacked the straight boy baggage and my guarded heart. Vacations to Saugatuck, Michigan's dunes, where we hiked hand in hand, waves crashing like applause. Not every day was fireworks. Fights flared. Over his long shifts, my freelance wanderlust. But we learned the dance. Argue fierce, forgive faster, love louder. One humid July night on that same fire escape, he dropped to one knee, not with a ring but a key, to a fixer-upper in Ukrainian village, blueprints curled in his fist. Build a life with me, loose? No labels, just forever. Tears blurred the skyline. Yes, I whispered, pulling him up into the kind of kiss that rewrites stars. We weren't heroes. No epic redemption arc. Just two guys from the heartland, stitching wounds with what-ifs turned real. Betrayal had scarred us, but scars tell stories. Of nights that changed everything. Of love that bends but doesn't break. In America's messy mosaic, we carved our corner. Flawed, fierce, profoundly ours.